Good evening, everybody. How are y'all doing tonight? Before we get started, can you guys hear me okay? I think you're going to be able to hear me a little bit better, obviously, because it's just me this evening and there's not two of us. I know last week many of you had mentioned that you weren't able to hear us. I'm unsure as to what. There were a handful of folks that were having difficulty hearing the audio. I did go back and watch it. I was able to hear it fine, so I'm unsure just so long as the majority of folks can hear me. Just a really quick tip, whether it's this evening or whether it's any other YouTube video, be it live and or of course, um, live and or of course a posted video. If you are having difficulty in hearing the video, especially if you are watching on your what do you call it, on your tablet. um, I forgot something really quick. Richard, will you get me the tablet out of the bottom drawer? I apologize, you guys. I did not set restrictions on tonight's live video. It just popped into my head. And I'm going to set those restrictions. We're going to do it here live together, just so that way we can hopefully avoid any unnecessary. Oh, and that's dead. Okay, great. It's all right. We'll just deal with it. Amy is here as a mod. Um, I think Karen is with us too. Yes. So mods, you might have to be on your toe. I will be keeping an eye on the chat. I apologize. I didn't set the restrictions on it. So if we get some kind of weird sex box, well, then I mean, I guess it is what it is. Friday night at 7 o'clock. Clearly, nothing could possibly go wrong. So let's just sit back, enjoy, buckle up, just in case of a bumpy ride. But we'll keep it going. Um, one way or the other. We'll deal with it. We've had to deal with it before. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. Um, so yes, the tip for anybody watching, whether it's a live video or whether it is a posted video, there is actually an audio feature in YouTube itself. If you tap on the screen, you should see the control panel pop up and there's like a little volume button. Sometimes in YouTube, the website itself, your volume is turned down even though you turn up your device all of the way and you're like, why can't I hear this? It's simply just because the audio is actually turned down in YouTube, the website itself. So that's just a little tip there for you. I think we'll be okay. Knock on wood. I I want to thank everybody for joining me here this evening. I do want to make an announcement at the beginning before we get too late into it and I end up forgetting. Um, is that next week I will not be having a live chat because next week is the Springfield, it is the Springfield, Ohio. Now that everybody in the country knows where it's at in the world, it is the Springfield, Ohio Antique Extravaganza. We will be attending that throughout the weekend. Of course, the official days are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but we are going for the early preview day on Thursday. We got some folks joining us here at the inn. We're really excited about that. So before I do forget, next Friday, we are not going to be having a live chat because, of course, we will be having a number of guests here with us, and it's gonna be a long day. And I don't know, quite frankly, if I'm going to be up to having a chat at 7, truth be told. But again, I want to thank everybody for being here with me live. I greatly appreciate it. And of course, to anybody who is checking out the replay, Lisa, I am definitely looking forward to that. And that's something we're going to circle back to this evening. Um, but I want to thank you guys, whether you're here live or watching the replay. Thank you so much for checking out tonight's live chat. I certainly appreciate it. As I have said before, and I will continue to say, for our if I see a metal marble man, pick that up. Okay. All right, Miss Jackson. Um, just because the live portion of the video has ended or you're watching the replay, it doesn't mean that you can't still engage in conversation. We do have the comments down below in the video. I do encourage you to leave a comment if you have a thought, a perspective, an idea. Please feel free to share that. Again, it is a safe zone. I do keep my eye on it. And again, folks have really been very respectful of the comment section, and I want to thank you for that also. And don't forget, don't just leave a comment down there. Check out the other things that other people are saying, and I do encourage you to give them a thumbs up. Show them a little bit of appreciation and support for their comments. And don't forget that you can, in fact, engage with one another by hitting reply in the comments. It's a great way to get to know folks a little bit better outside of the vintage and the antique world. So, this evening's chat, I'm really excited about. This is going to be, the thumbnail is, it's the very best of. And this evening's conversation is just going to be about that. It's going to be about the best memories in a wide variety of different things. And if you do have questions, I am going to encourage you to put those down in the comments, or pardon me, in the chat there. Just put it all in caps. That way it jumps out a little bit easier for me. So if you do have a question, or if there's something you would like me to answer, please feel free. Don't be bashful. Don't be shy. I'm encouraging you to do that. I just ask that you would put it in all caps. That way, again, it jumps out at me and I'm better able to keep up with the chat. I have found that difficult, truth be told, to have a conversation and focus on the chat all at the same time. So bold, put it all in caps for me and it'll stick out for me. Um, so I guess, yes, it's all about the memories. We're going to take a stroll down memory lane this evening. And I do want to share, some really, I think, positive experiences. And that is, it's about, the some of my favorite places that I have shopped over the course of the years, my favorite finds, just fun memories. I would really like to share that with you all tonight. And if there are specific memories that stick out in your mind that's right. If there are specific memories that stick out in your mind with regards to experiences or conversations that you have had in the community, I do encourage you to leave those down in the comments. I'm going to see if I can't get, I am going to attempt to do this right now. The problem, let's see here. We're gonna see if I can't get into to the back end of YouTube, um, so I can set those parameters up for us. So do bear with me. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'm not concerned. Thank you. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh no, this is on. How do I do this? I'm not used to using um, on an iPad. I don't want, this seems like it's a mobile version. I don't really want a mobile version. I want, how do I switch it to? YouTube would like to find and connect devices in your local network. Okay, don't let. Well, apparently that's not going to work for me because it wants to pull up. It doesn't want to pull up the website. It wants to pull up. Yeah, it's going to pull up like the mobile app version because I'm on the iPad and not on a desktop. Huh? It's okay. We're just going to go with it. We're just going to go with it. Do what? We might get pop-ups, yeah, but if we do, it's not the end of the world. Like this, it's happened before. We've dealt with it before. So we'll be good. So any old how. Back to our topic of conversation. So, if you are not familiar, I have been doing, well, I guess I could find out and tell you. Um, let's see, me, the cult of vintage videos. So I have 726 videos. All right. Um, I'm curious. I don't actually know specifically how long I have been putting up videos. I think it's been 3 years. So I've been putting up videos for at least a solid 3 years to the total of 756 videos, which is kind of crazy. It's definitely something that I had never really planned on doing. I know that many of you are familiar with the fact that when I did start doing this 3 years ago, I've been doing it for 3 years. Um, my first videos. Um, I have been doing this for 3 years, and it certainly has been an unexpected journey. I can tell you that much. It's definitely been crazy, and it's most certainly something, that has never been planned. Nettie is saying favorite memories are the times I met up with people from the community in person, once on a trip to Santa Barbara. Ooh. And once when Joni came to visit. That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Nettie. Um, typical crazing says, I totally remember all the blow molds you found on that wagon at the barn antiques. You know what? That is so funny. I remember that day like it was yesterday because I was out um, shopping, and I was at an antique mall, and that's Rutherford Farms. At the farm from where I lived was about 30 minutes, and then I was about another 20 minutes outside of that. And Sarah, the owner, had texted me, and she sent me a picture, and I was like, "I'll be right there." And I drove directly over there, and it was just, I mean, she had the entire wagon just filled with blow molds. There was also okay, we're back. That was an absolutely amazing experience that I certainly remember, and I remember it vividly. Thank you for bringing that one back into my mind. Um, Susan is sharing my favorite memory is the first chat with Richard in it after Springfield. Oh, that's from Susan Jackson. Oh, he says. Um, yeah, we will definitely, well, yeah. So, 3 years ago, I've been doing this. I've been selling online. Yes, I do have a unique laugh. I'm aware. Yes, I do. I do. Um, Simply Layla says, can you make a full-time living reselling? Layla, that's a good question. I think that it really depends on you, where you are personally, and more specifically financially. It really depends on your financial needs. Um, it's definitely easier. I clearly do not have children, and kids, as wonderful as they are, I'm sure many of you are parents, grandparents, nieces, uncles, or your aunts, uncles, things of that nature. And kids are expensive, so it would make me very nervous to have kids and to do reselling full time, truth be told. But as clearly Richard has his own business. So, I mean, we do well between the two of us. I certainly would say that if you are wanting to do full-time reselling, that it is definitely beneficial to sell in multiple different platforms. Um, whether your chosen platform is something like a YouTube Live and Instagram Live, if you want to take part in like one of the marketplaces that exist on District or something, like Whatnot. Look, at the end of the day, I might have my thoughts and feelings about certain platforms, but at the end of the day, it really is what is going to benefit you the best. But it is definitely something that you would want to do across multiple platforms. I would also encourage the incorporation of something like an eBay or a Facebook Marketplace, and or if you have access to time, the energy, and the resources with which to have, a vendor, like a space in a vendor mall, an antique mall, but just doing multiple things so that you don't rely solely on one specific thing. But again, it all boils down to where you are personally financially. It can be done, but the bigger the bills, the more the hustle at the end of the day. But yes, it can be done. I mean, I do it. So yes. So yes, 3 years ago, I began, putting out. Oh, did it freeze? It was just a black screen for me. Oh, great! I can't wait to see what my face looked like on that one. Um, I began. Um, Thank you. Stephanie, I remember meeting Michael in person. He was just so nice, just like he is on YouTube. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate that. Stephanie is definitely a sweetheart. Diane, yeah, the Toys for Tots. That's amazing. I don't even know what actually I kind of do. I'll share a funny story with you all. The Toys for Tots. I always laugh about it because I think it's so funny. But the Toys for Tots, um, I just thought it would be really nice to be able to do. I think that it was something outside of the norm, and I was like, "Well, if we sell stuff and, we can donate it then to Toys for Tots." It has gone over very well, and it is certainly something that I am looking forward to again this year. It will be the 3rd year with which I have done that, and, the first year was great, the second year was even better, and I do hope that this 3rd year is even better than the last 2. And that is through, again, your guys' support. It's absolutely that has been a phenomenal experience. I won't lie, the shopping is a little like that it takes a hot minute. You wouldn't think, especially in today's world, that it would take so long, or it would take so long to spend like $2,000. But I do try to put a lot of thought into it because I don't want just toys. I've tried to get games, and books have been a huge thing. So it can, especially with the sales, it can take some time, and then checking out those poor people. But I have done it in Target, but every year Target has been very kind in opening a lane specific to me, so I don't hold anything else up. Um, but that is definitely something I really look forward to every single year, and I am most certainly looking forward to that again this year. Yes, we are going to be doing Toys for Tots again. So yes. Alrighty. What do we have, Miss Amy? Amy is saying my favorites, that epic garage sale with all of the mid-century salt and pepper shakers for next to nothing. And when you texted me, you found the Lefton musical Bluebird teapot. So Amy is referring to, oh my goodness, that was like 2 years ago. I could probably find that one. But I was out, I don't know, depending of course on how long you've been watching the channel, but I used to do a lot of yard sales with Jimmy. Obviously, Jimmy is back in Pennsylvania, and I'm here in Ohio, but um I I I remember where it was. We were well, we were just outside of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and there was this garage sale, and we had gone, and it was a little too early. I mean, we were there at the time they hadn't open yet, so we were just like, we drove around the neighborhood. I think we hit another garage sale. We ultimately came back, and we're walking up, and it was an older gentleman, and apparently his wife, that was just a fraction apparently of the collection that she had had, and that was part of the reason why he was getting rid of them so inexpensively, is because he was just like, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. um, so yeah, we found some amazing several Holt Howard shaker sets, and he was like, "It's 25 cents. That's 35 cents." I mean, nothing was over $1. Like it was insane, and filled a box with some absolutely amazing, super kitschy salt and pepper shakers, like good ones too. Like it was so phenomenal. And then the Lefton Bluebird teapot, I couldn't believe it because I found it in an antique mall. There was like a whole Lefton Bluebird set up, and there were some of the items were damaged, which was really sad. They didn't like there was one. It was a butter dish, and it has some good resale value on it. and I was contemplating getting it, but I think the beak and when it because it had like a little bit of a wing detail on the side, so it wasn't perfectly circular, but the wing detail was also chipped. So I held off from getting that. But what did I get? I got the musical teapot, and I think it was the rhinestone eye bank, the bluebird, and then there was something else. I feel like it was the biscuit jar or the cookie jar. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that one. But I was like, girl, should I? Right? Hmm. So yes. So yes, I have been doing this for 3 years now. Like I said, at the time when I had started it, um, that's a great point, Christine. She says sells a lot on Facebook Marketplace, and the benefit to that is that there are no fees. I think that there probably would be. Christine, do you ship on through marketplace or do you just do local pickups? I have certainly considered doing that. The issue that I have with it is that and Richard has sold some stuff on Facebook marketplace, and sometimes some of the people are really flaky, and it's just like, and I've tried to buy stuff on Facebook marketplace, and then it's just like I'll just message them and be like, if this is still available, I can meet on Wednesday at such and such time, and they never get back to you. So that's a little disappointing. But I've just there's been a lot of flaky experiences through Facebook Marketplace, and I've witnessed Richard doing it. They message you, you're having a conversation, and then when it comes down to it, they never follow through. So that has always been a concern. I've more so considered it because I've been tempted in buying maybe like large items that I may not be able to ship or want to ship. Um, but then the problem with that is that where am I storing all of that stuff, especially if it doesn't sell and you're kind of sitting, yeah, sitting with furniture there. Um, oh yes. Thank you, Marty. That's a great place. I think, to start is, I was working full time as a retail manager at the time, and I really discovered the vintage and antique community right before COVID, actually. And it just obviously, I had much more time during COVID, during the lockdowns, to become much more invested in the community. And I think at that time, and I do recognize this, and I certainly have to. It is what it is. I think something that kind of maybe probably helped make me stand out a little bit more was just the virtue of being a man. There were very few people in the community. I think there were only two or three of us at that point that were men that were in the community. It clearly is not that way now. I think the community has expanded quite nicely. Um, I do see that, of course, in the analytics. So that is very nice. But I do think that that kind of helped give me a little bit of a leg up so far as people being like, oh, there's a guy, you know, how you take it where you can get it, I guess. Um, so through the course of, engaging in community and getting to know some folks a little bit better, obviously I got closer to some individuals and very encouraging. Misty obviously was one of those people were very encouraging about me starting YouTube. I really did not want to do YouTube. I didn't plan on doing YouTube, didn't want to resell. It was just fun. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that, you know, uh, I feel uniquely blessed in our Misty and I's ability to, maintain a relationship, a friendship, is because we did not start selling until almost a year after we had started conversating. We really developed a friendship prior to, going and selling together. And I really think that that definitely helped provide us a foundation. And that certainly has added to our ability to still continue to sell, jointly together. that has been an amazing ride. But anyhow, through those conversations, it was like, "Oh, you should start a YouTube channel." I was like, "No, I don't really, I don't want to do that." And then I was like, "Oh, you know what I could do? I could do a I could do like this Instagram account, and it would be like a funny vintage antique kind of meme account where things would be, I would want to do like memes, but specific to like the vintage and the antique community. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do that, and I really thought that it would be like the time during COVID and lockdown and so much going on in the world. I was like, the humor is really needed right now. So, let me go ahead and do that. And if I'm going to do that, then I want to have like an Instagram username. And I came up with, clearly, I came up with the idea of the cult of vintage. It very much, um, you know, it very much the name is meant to be provocative, and I certainly know that for some folks, it can be off-putting, and especially at the beginning, there were a lot of folks who definitely, made their opinion or their feelings known, and that wasn't something that was necessarily overly shocking, to me, and it was kind of like, it's just not my kind of person." Then, you know what I mean? Like, clearly, if the name The Cult of Vintage is gonna all put it to some folks that I'm probably not gonna be able to entertain them, and that's okay. That's life, I get that. But really and truly, at the end of the day, um, we do associate, obviously, cult with very negative things, and, even by definition, cult is most closely, associated with religious ideals. However, it's not exclusive ideals. As I have said before, and I'll share again with you, the definition of cult is the belief in something to the exclusion of others. And as I have said before, and I think most of us would agree here, we do hold a certain perspective or a belief that vintage and antiques, it's better than this modern stuff, you know what I mean, like the artistry, the craftsmanship, the quality of the materials that went into it. They're just, and for me, it's just I find vintage and antique items to be far superior. And it's all you have to do is go through like your TJ Maxx, your Marshalls, your Home Goods, Target, Walmart, and what do you see in a lot of their home decor are things that are inspired by or reproductions of vintage and antique goods. So, the designs, again, the designs, the artistry, they have really withheld the test of time. So again, the cult of vintage was meant to be provocative. It was made to make people be like, "Huh?" It was made to be memorable. Um, and it was made to be funny, and it does have a deeper meaning, and that deeper meaning is that, again, I do think, as vintage and antique collectors, enthusiasts, resellers, it is our hobby, it's our passion. But I think for a lot of folks, myself included, that I do uphold vintage and antique items as superior to the exclusion of vintage or pardon me, of contemporary items. So that's really honestly, um, oh, that is it. Did it? That is a. Did you get that from Miss Anama Amy? I can't. Um, thank you. Yes, I definitely have found some incredible things over the years. But again, it was just meant to be Instagram. It was going to be memes, and I did start off with memes, and um, through conversations, especially with Misty, she had the idea of doing a group live sale. At the time, she asked if I would be in it, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, I don't think so. Ultimately, clearly, I did agree, and that's kind of really where it started. I had done, we had, we were going to do it just as a once a month kind of thing. And people really enjoyed it. So we went from once a month to once a week, and it just kind of grew from there. I was doing live sales for several months before I ever had a YouTube channel. And I think it's really interesting going back and kind of looking at these older videos, um, just the progression of from the thumbnails. I shop with me, yes, here, shop with me, crammed shelves. It's really interesting to see how the channel has evolved. I Boy, man, some of these thumbnails are rough, and it definitely took me a little bit of time to figure out what I was doing with thumbnails. And I don't know. Sometimes I do wonder if maybe going back to the basics wouldn't be better. There is definitely a stroll down memory lane in regards to looking at these thumbnails, but um, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was. I can remember having conversations and being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do a YouTube channel." And I probably was saying on the back end, "I'm gonna do a YouTube channel" for like 2 months before I actually ever did it, because I was just like, "Well, I don't know what I'm gonna do." At that time even, there were a number of folks clearly that were doing a variety of shop with me's. I was just like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna do this, how am I gonna approach this from maybe a little bit of a different perspective?" And the only thing that I could come up with was maybe having, longer videos, longer formatted videos where I was trying to provide more of an experience, if you will, rather than focusing on the reselling. Because again, at the time I was full-time employed. I was only doing one live sale a week, and I was selling 10 items, a week. So I didn't have to invest as much time in finding things. And I would say that was probably the funnest moment, was, at the beginning when everything was very like new, and it was all a discovery. And, you know, you, in hindsight, it's like you put a lot of pressure on yourselves to try to do as best as you can, and I still do. Um, but a lot of the nerves associated with it have definitely dissipated. But I think that at the very beginning, doing the actual videoing was probably the very best at the beginning, because as I said, and I've mentioned that in previous conversations, is that I didn't have, quite frankly, as much riding on it, right? I didn't have as much financially riding on it. It was part time, it was passive income. And as we continued to do the live sales, and incorporated in, the YouTube channel, that I was very blessed with the amount of support that the channel had received, especially at the very beginning. That definitely was incredibly humbling. Um, I've tried to maintain that humility most certainly throughout the course of this. It's always odd when somebody recognizes you, because you don't I don't walk through life being like, somebody might recognize me, because I'm just some vintage and antique reseller. You know what I mean? Like, um I don't think that it's special. I mean, it's fun, it's amazing, and I know that it has had a lot of meaning for a lot of different folks, and I certainly recognize that. But like, in my own head, I'm not walking around thinking, "Oh, people are going to recognize me," right? um Elaine says, "I can't recall what it was you dropped and it broke during a live sale." But I can't remember. I don't remember that. That was a this is the best memories. This is the best memories, Elaine. I must have I must have shut that one out of the memory. Christine did answer the question from earlier. Lots of ghosting, she says, but still worth it in regards to posting on Facebook Marketplace. Stephanie said, "I was so happy when you quit your job to do YouTube." Here's the thing. when and that's what I was just talking about. I'm going to try to bounce back and forth and keep what I was saying in my head. Um, when we went from once a month to once a week. I incorporated, the Goodwill videos in it. You know, the audience really continued to grow. Economic times were definitely different. A lot of folks had a lot of disposable income at the time. I don't know if it was disposable, more so we were literally getting paid to stay at home, which was kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Clearly, it wasn't the best of situations or circumstances with which that happened, but silver lining, I guess. Um, and, really truly what ended up happening is that I was working 40 hours a week through the job during the holidays. Not only was I working 40 hours a week, we just came out of lockdown. There were a lot of restrictions. Um, there were a lot of restrictions that we upheld that, and I will say that my employer allowed us to decide, where are we drawing the lines? What are we going to uphold? There were restrictions that ultimately I erred on the side of caution, and there were a lot of folks who did not like that. And it was, while we are talking about the best memories, I have to say that was probably the I would say 8 months after lockdown was probably the worst working experience that I have ever had. And I really hope that I never have to go through that kind of mental and emotional stress ever again. So, on top of that, then I would be going out, I would be filming, and then we would be having the live sales. And as we continued to consistently have the live sales, I really felt that we carved out a great space for ourselves. I mean, it's Tuesday at 1 o'clock. You know what I mean? Like we've been doing it for years now at this point, which is an amazing thing. Like that is, I think, phenomenal. Um, so really truly what ended up happening is that as those live sales grew, we, started to incorporate additional items. Clearly, the way in which we operated the live sales then is not the way in which we operate the live sales now. Everything was straight claimed. Here is this item, it's $15, it's number 10. And to really kind of discovering through that, there was a handful of individuals that would consistently win the items. So then we began to incorporate, the offer ups. People enjoyed the offer ups. People found it to be they found it to be that if they wanted an item, that they could at least attempt to get it to combat the lag. We all know that the lag does still exist. So yeah, we've incorporated different things to kind of combat that. But as the Tuesday sale really began to grow, it was just a lot of stress. Truth be told, it did physically take a toll on me. And I was really toying with it. The sales, my retail job really started to interfere, I felt, with my ability to kind of take the Cult of Vintage to the next level. It probably took close to a year for me to make the decision. Ultimately what ended up happening is and I'm not going to dwell on this, but it is part of the story and it's something I've never shared. But while I was working full time, our hours were cut, my staff was cut, and I would have to run the store myself. I was there by myself 5 out of the days by myself for 11 hours straight. So you're working with customers who aren't happy about restrictions. So, of course, you're the target of that anger and frustration. You're trying to do all of the other things that are incorporated into it. I was shopping and filming and doing the live sales. It was it was just too much. I had we're just going to talk about this really quickly, but I began to suffer a physical ailment where I was starting to get numb on the right side of my head to one day I was at work and just the entire right hand side of my face went numb up through my lip, all through here. Thought that I was having a stroke. I closed the store. I went to the ER. I was not, thankfully. But then in talking with, there was nothing wrong physically. Everything was good. Everything checked out. Had a CT. They did the whole like checking to make sure there were no clots or anything like that. And ended up talking to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Okay, what's going on?" Explain the situation. I think maybe you're under too much stress. You should really, think about what your priorities are. And after that incident, it was the next month that I ended up. Um, it was the next month because I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give it a go. And ultimately, obviously, there's a lot of concern and fear in doing something that is so outside of the norm. And it's kind of like, well, you know what, if it doesn't work, I can always go back to doing I could go back to being a retail manager. I don't know that I could, to be frank with you at this point. I don't know. I don't think that I could go back to being a retail manager at this point. I would certainly consider doing something differently, but we're not there, so we're gonna continue on with it. So, yeah, that's kind of the beginning, in a nutshell. Um, it was exciting. It was scary, and I think that that is a very um, that's a very positive memory. I felt very empowered. It has been a tremendous joy. I will say that. Um, I will say, especially for the first year, I think that there is a tremendous amount of stress as a small business owner, and it's interesting because I think it's like people like you understand it, but then like when you're in it, it's like, dude, this is really crazy because there's no backup. There's no, "Oof, I don't feel good today." You can't call in sick. If I can't do this, then this means that I'm not going to have this money, and I can't call up being like, well, no, I didn't sell this for as much as I thought that I was going to sell it for. um, so there of course is that stress, but there is also a tremendous amount of freedom in that. Oh, here it is. Look, all this for $4. There is a tremendous amount of freedom in being self-employed. This is when I used to go to Goodwill all the time. Um, so yeah, it's definitely been a journey, but there definitely is certainly a certain amount of freedom, and I think I've spoken to this point before, and I think a lot of you will certainly empathize with this, is that, when you are working for a company, especially when you are working for a large enterprise, a corporation, you can often be put in situations where you very much feel um, replaceable, right? You are just a cog in the wheel of the machine, and that you can be replaced. You can be put, especially as a retail manager, you have to literally swallow your pride because, the company doesn't want to have a bad reputation. So that's all just kinds of crazy. And thankfully, I would say that I haven't faced that issue. It's nice to know that, hey, I don't have to do that because this is my business and I'm going to do what I feel is right for me. Um, I feel like the timeline of my videos is off as I'm looking at things because it doesn't make sense. No, I guess that is true. Okay. I'm just seeing something right now. It says it never ends. The Ohio Antique Extravaganza. It is the first time. It was 2 years ago that I came to the Ohio Extravaganza for the first time. It's really interesting. Um, Crazy, 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 crazy. I should not be looking at these thumbnails because it's catching me up in all kinds of memory lanes right now, and it's just really interesting to see how so much has changed. There's my first barn pick. I That is something that makes me sad, and I would be honest with you, I would drive back to Pennsylvania just to go back to Rutherford Farms. There is another amazing this is Cindy J. This is the first time we no, that's not the first time we met because we went to Goodwill for the first time. This is the second time that we met. Okay, there she is. She found her cocoa tin. This is the first time I shopped with Allison. I met Allison, Skeleton Keys in the Closet, over on Instagram. I have gotten to meet some really amazing people. Some of those people are still in my life, some people are not. That's just the name of the game. Toys for Tots. There's the first Toys for Tots video. Oh, this is crazy. I don't often, truth be told, go back and really look through my content. Oh, look, my first clickbait. My first clickbait. Oh, goodness. So I'm going to catch up with you guys. Karen says, I remember being so happy for you while you shared in video from a park. Yes, it was. I did. I shot it in the park. Um, my goodness. I'm trying to. Oh, it's right there. Because of you, I quit. And that's really what it was. It was um, my sentiment behind it was that because through the support of people subscribing and watching and coming to the live sales, that because of you I was able to quit that job, and it was amazing. I remember then, oh, that was right after the extravaganza. It wasn't too long after the extravaganza because that was September, October, November. It was 7 months, so it was almost a year. I remember coming back the second time, and I can remember I know Fat Birds is here, hi, or maybe they're still here. Hi, Laura. I remember, being here for the extravaganza the second time, and that's the first time we stayed here at the inn, and we were out back, and I remember Laura saying this is something that just sticks out in my mind. She said, ever since you quit your job, you just seem so much happier. And I was like, do you really think so? Because I feel so much more like, and that was at the beginning, because I was just like, I feel like I'm so much more stressed. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot. That has worn off. I've learned to kind of not put certain pressures on myself and just kind of go with the flow. You can't control everything, and you will drive yourself crazy trying to control everything. So that's been interesting. Yes, but it was that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. What is it? Yes, the conversation is definitely funny. The not the last video, but the video before it, it was funny. We had a gentleman, Bob, come up. He was from Central Florida. He really fell in love, and that is an amazing memory. That is certainly, again, there is so much that has happened that I most certainly never planned on. Um, and not just in my videos, but in other content creators, putting out like Urbana and sharing the inn. And I know a lot of folks have really gotten to see the inn, and I did a dedicated tour to the inn. You have gotten to meet, Richard. Um, but anyhow, Bob came up from Central Florida. He just fell in love with the inn. He just, the places that I had shopped in the videos, he very much wanted to come and see. So he just decided he was going to take a vacation. And he came up, and the one day, of course, I filmed, and we were at the flea market and we were talking. And the thing is that, and it's really interesting. Some of you may not agree with this, but um, in real life, this is something that is different. It's not like a moral or ethical thing that's a difference, but I am not like he is the talker in real life, and I am like the I don't. I'm not the big talker. I will go off and just da 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 da. And Richard is incredibly engaging. Um, he is definitely the talker. So that was funny. But yeah, again, doing that, doing this, you never again realize, I guess, the impact um, that it can have for you. So yeah, that's it is funny. It is funny, yes. He harasses me. He harasses me. No, Gary, you don't have to pay at all. There's no fees, no fees at all. If you want to start, I mean, technically, as it stands, every single person here in the chat, you do have your own YouTube channel. Is all you have to do is film and edit it if you would like, do something super organic and upload it through your existing YouTube channel. But everybody here has a YouTube channel. Yeah, provocative. Don't I love that word? Provocative. To provoke thought, right? That's what I mean by provocative. Let's see here. Ugh. Oh, you're killing me, Michelle. My favorite find. It was Richard. Nuh-uh. um, material wise, um, there's like, and I can tell that. Oh well, there's that. Oh, can I give like a top three or four? um, there is, I think it was last year's Springfield extravaganza video. The fall one, there was a vendor. It was the last day. We had gone to look for deals, really wasn't finding anything. We were about to leave. We were in the arts building. She was at the end. She's on the right. She's still there. Um, and she had there was a half doll, and it was complete. She's still in her pink satin dress, and I just it is one of my favorite finds. She is still out on display, but she has like the legs. Do you see her? She's in the top in the pink. And then my other one is that other half doll right beside her. I literally can show you two of my tops because I display them. There are some other ones that I never captured on camera. Okay, here she is. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but it's this little lady. I love her. She's not wearing a retainer. That's her hair. And this one. This one I did not capture on camera, but ready? Look at that. She's got her original hair. She is articulated. And she's got like a taffeta dress. Now, she doesn't have anything clearly on the bottom, but she is stunning. I love her. Um, a lot of the toys. The most recent one, I guess it's mostly the dolls. But the most recent one was when I did the doll haul auction, and in it is the old millinery doll. Like, I have been hunting for one of those. I have tried to bid on them on eBay, and of course, I get outbid every single time. So to be able, and there were like doll collectors there, and I don't know if they just didn't see it, if it wasn't their aesthetic, or they didn't care about it. But I was just like, oh, I'm about to get outbid on this. And I didn't. And I can't believe that I found it, right? Yes. So that is definitely some of my favorite. Don't you though, Bobby? These t-shirts, Bobby gifted to Richard and I, but I absconded with it. Yes. Yes, it definitely was, of course, one of my favorite memories. And that's certainly something I hope that I've been, very transparent with you guys is that, probably the biggest, best memory is not just one isolated incident, but it is the continuation of it. And, it is the continued support that so many of you have demonstrated in such a wide variety of ways. And I really do appreciate that. And when I have said that, you guys have changed my life for the better, I am incredibly sincere in that. It has really meant the world to me because who knows, I may still be back working, a full-time retail manager job if it wasn't, for so many different reasons. And again, I do take confidence in my ability to source things and find things and all of that and do the videos. Like, that's me, and I take full ownership of that. But at the end of the day, oh my gosh, there it is. Look, we did. This is where we found all the blow molds and the shiny brats. um oh gosh, look, that's where I got the new teeth. And I said, look, I'm just gonna have to come out with it. Clearly there's something different about me. um That's definitely something that's interesting. But yeah, so I mean, shoot, you've helped me get a new smile. So all of those things, I most certainly appreciate. And you guys have really helped change the trajectory of my life, maybe unbeknownst to you, but it most certainly has. And I think that that's an interesting dynamic because, as I have said in the past, you put up a video and you're like doing a shop with me video, and you hope that it's entertaining, right? You do want it to be entertaining at the end of the day, and you do want to show, beautiful things or rare things or hard to get things. And if somebody learns something from you, that's just an absolute bonus on top of that. But then, whether it's in the comments or, reaching out through email, to share the impact um, that some of the videos can have, whether it's, companionship and inability to get out due to physical or mental health limitations. Maybe it's just that you don't have vintage or antique malls around, and the the impact that that has had on so many people's lives. That's truly a humbling experience. And yet, the interesting dynamic is that, unbeknownst to many of you, you really all have changed my life in so many different and meaningful and identifiable ways. So I would like to think that it's been a win-win overall. So yes, let's see here. Oh yes, Mama Wanda. I think if I'm yeah, that's kind of creepy weird. I know I'm a little behind in the chat, but Susan, I kid you not, there she is. That was the first time she appeared on camera. She's definitely gotten more comfortable with it. Richard has gotten more comfortable with it. It definitely, I have become more comfortable with it. There's always this feeling of like, what do I do? How are people going to perceive me? And as you begin to do it more and more, you begin to realize it doesn't really matter how somebody else perceives you. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't change the way in which I live my life, and that has been an incredibly freeing thing too. Yeah. So I'm gonna catch up to you guys. I have no idea what that is. Well, you can say hello, Jay. Why wouldn't you say hello? You were free to say hello. I appreciate it. I try to remember like every time somebody says, you know, whatever, like, oh, thank you so much for talking to me. Like for me, it's like, no, thank you so much for saying hello. Like I'm the one that's supposed to be thankful here. Like, uh, sorry if I'm missing anything. Um, oh, those politicians. Didn't it used to be 3 of you at the beginning? There actually used to be 4 of us in the beginning. Yeah, there was 4 of us, then it was 3 of us, then it was 2 of us. So, yeah, and things change, of course, throughout life, so then that's okay. Oh, Brian's here. He apologizing for keeping everybody, um, for waiting. Pinched nerve. Yes. Oh gosh, I am really behind. Um, I appreciate that, Stephanie. Thank you so much. And that is, Pammy, that was one thing that really kind of held me back was I was like, can I get the insurance? And if I can get the insurance, am I going to be able, pardon me, am I going to be able to get insurance that is actually viable? And thankfully, I was able to do that. Hello, Chloe. Thank you so much. I'm super far behind. Oh my gosh, Pat, the e-perns, she really brought up a memory. Those were all it was an estate sale auction. And so what Pat is talking about is that there was an estate sale auction. It was online. However, you could only do like pickup, like they weren't shipping anything. And I was like, well, now I actually stand a chance at this point. I think I ended up that's still on my Instagram. I think I bought like what did I get? Like somewhere between 12 to 15 Fenton Eperns. That was so amazing. It was so amazing. I can still see all of that beautiful glass. This is something that while it's interesting, Pat, that you just brought up something. I said earlier, I don't typically go back, and I should do this. Go back and look at like my old video. I don't watch my old videos. I don't go back to look at the thumbnails either. But just going back through the thumbnails, I think I'm gonna focus on that a little bit more. But I will go back through Instagram just to like remind myself of the things that I've purchased and sold. And the ePerns, Pat, always are something that stand out to me. I remember having it on the dining room table. It was just filled with ePerns. Oh my gosh, it probably took a month to sell them because I didn't want to do them all at once. That would have been horrific to try to pack and sell all of those all at once. But oh my gosh, yes. Oh, the Christmas snarky booth. Oh my gosh. You know what? This was, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a truth right now. Every time I have gone, not, no, in the fall, hopefully we just stay to the fall. Oh gosh, it's coming up next weekend, so something to look forward to. But every time I've gone to the fall Springfield extravaganza, like I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But I have always had like a disagreement, shall we say, with one of the vendors. I have stopped incorporating them into the video. The last one was a doozy. The last one was a doozy. Poor Richard was just like, I'm gonna go over here. Oh yeah. Hmm. Yes. It's it's a good but it's funny. Like, in hindsight, of course, it's all funny, but in the moment, you're like, I remember that because Misty and I went in there, and we were just like, "Da, da, 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 da," and at first, I was like I kept filming, and she was like, "Hey," and I was like, I didn't even dawn that, like, she was talking to us, right? Oh, hey, hey, hey. Sorry. Um, so Tommy, these are Richard's. I could probably open this so you can get less of a glare. Oh, look, Stephanie, there's Gracie and Louie. This is Richard's collection. It's English Cornish ware. Y'all should know how I am with these old cabinets. I hate them. But it's yellow Cornish ware. There's also a blue one, but the yellow are a little bit harder to get. This is a good memory. These Miss Stephanie Kite made. It's Louie. She killed it on these. Yeah, that's great. That was a really good memory. And they are here in the Cornish wear. That's her barking right now. She's not this little figurine. I'm telling you. But early 1800s, when as per story, I'll tell it to you. Um, like early 1800s kitchens. Oh, they're in the attic. I thought somebody was welcome, but they were very stark, I would say, and one way to dress them was in their crockery. You had the blue and white stripe, yellow and white stripe, and it was a way to bring in a little bit of color into an otherwise very dreary kind of room in the house at the time. All right, I'm going to scroll up here because I really um, the Beth, we are going to be doing an update on the home. There has been a tremendous amount of updates. Like there's electric in the house. There might be a chandelier or two hanging. There might be cabinets. There might be some marble countertops. So that video is going to be coming out soon, but we are going to get an update on the house. Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to scroll. Tao Jean. Okay, so Jean is okay. So I guess this is gonna be Gene, that is really kind of crazy because I'm stalled here. Okay. So this is going to be, it's kind of like, do you have your favorite places to shop? Yes, of course I do. One of them, of course, was Rutherford Farms. Sarah, her husband Al, really good people. They just have the good vibes about them. Um, I always would recommend going there. And one other place, and I'd only ever been there once. And I saw it actually, mom saw it on the news, and she was like, "You have to check this out." It was just on the news. It was like a 1 minute kind of local news feature, and they were talking about this uranium glass collection. And I was like, "Well, let me look it up." And I went, and it was this video here, right? The biggest uranium and Vaseline glass collection. Look at that. So that day I go, and it was on a Saturday. I go, absolutely. If you have not seen this video, one, there's an antique mall. It's in like the Poconos, beautiful Mount Airy lads. All you have to bring is your love of everything. But anyhow, the Poconos, Pennsylvania. It's I Maybe some of you out on the West Coast don't get the commercials, but it's pretty prevalent in the East Coast. But it's like skiing, very foresty, mountainy cabins. The whole winter thing. Um, but it's this antique mall in the Poconos, close to Stroudsburg, almost to the New York state line. And on the top is this antique mall. Antique mall was great. I found some amazing things in there. And then you downstairs is the Uranium Glass Museum. Again, they showed it for like a minute on the news, didn't really know what to expect. Well, you walk down in there and it's like filled with like Nickelodeons, there's players, there's clocks, everything that is mechanical in this place is in working condition. And then on top of that, it is surrounded by like the largest. It's it was just awe-inspiring. He turned the lights off, like the whole nine yard. I mean, there's full like banquet tables set up with nothing but Vaseline and uranium glass. I mean, it was just so amazing. That just left such an impression on me. Again, I would check out the video. I can't remember off the top of my head. Well, I could probably pop it up here. Um, let's see here. It is um oh, it's in Belmont. Oh no, it's in Holly, Pennsylvania. It's the Holly Antique Exchange is what it's called. Holly Antique Exchange. So I would definitely go and check that out. But again, it was a Saturday. I remember I was driving back and Richard had texted me a picture. Now, part of it had gone out to the Urbana Market. And, at the time, the whole tiny treasures, true to form. But I like the little stuff. And he found like some dollhouse stuff. And, he ended up being like, I got a surprise for you. And I was like, just tell me what it is. Tell me what it is, teasing, teasing, teasing. He finally, you know, sends me a picture. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, that's dollhouse furniture, but that's like really good quality dollhouse furniture. And he was like, well, I think she had more. Should I go back? And I was like, yeah, go back. So then he goes back and he gets more and he takes a picture. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's really good stuff. And he is like, and he had to come back to the inn and he was like, well, yeah, she said she had a whole like moving van filled with it. And I was like, you should like go back and see if she'll sell it to you. He went back. He said, would you sell it all? She was like, well, I haven't even seen some of it yet. And he's like, yeah, but we're really interested. I'll buy everything. And he bought everything. And like literally here is the museum. And then I came back to because I was still going between Ohio and Pennsylvania. And there it is. Like he was so proud of himself. I still have that picture on my phone. This is literally him taking this is me inserted, right, to the thumbnail, but that he took that picture and he's got like an SUV. He has a three-row SUV. All of the seats were down, and it was just oh my gosh. And then I came into the apartment. There were boxes everywhere. I think Misty saw it. And then, of course, we did three-part video series on that. People thought I was crazy, but I dropped all three parts in one day. I did, and I'm still pleased that I did that. That was a different kind of thing. I think it was what? It was close to 3 hours worth of content going through all of the boxes. A lot of it, he had seen most of it, not everything. It was all brand new to me. And then I think what we ended up having to do two or three live sales, but we have never had the free time to actually do the dollhouse. The stuff that we kept is still upstairs in the attic. Um, and I'm okay with it because obviously, again, transitioning. But trust and believe there is a doll. I have settled on the kind of dollhouse that I want. Um, there's I think two or three doll kits up there. But I want like an old school one. Like I want a Victorian one. I want it to be on like a table. I want it to open from the front and not the back because that always baffled me. Like you have this beautiful dollhouse on the front, but you have to turn it to get into it. No, I want to be able to open it and close it from the front, right? And I want it to be like one of the really old school Victorian ones where it's just like it's all like stained wood. I just think that looks so sophisticated and elegant, and they just really go in hardcore on the interior. So clearly the vision is there. We just don't have the time. And I will say this as a little, this is going to be a surprise, but don't worry, you guys are going to see it eventually. Um, we're working on another kind of a it's not a dollhouse, but we're working on a very tiny house kind of concept. It's gonna be really cool and amazing. I'm, you know, I love a good tease. I'm teasing you on it, right? Oh no. Oh, the dolls. I love the dolls. That was something, prior to doing the Cult of Vintage, I had my own Instagram and I always loved the toys. When I have, I still have a lot of toys. I still need to go through a lot of them. There's a lot of contemporary dolls, but there was just at one point where I just like flipped the switch. I was like, I don't want to do um, contemporary toys anymore. I went into antique toys. And it was always the toys. It was always the toys. I would sell the toys, trade the toys. And then I got tired of the contemporary and vintage toys, retro toys. And then I just flipped to the antiques. I got rid of the vast majority of the toys, truth be told, but I do still have a bit to go through. And from the antique toys that went into the home decor. So yeah, yes, yes. Yes. Well, thank you, Beth. I appreciate it. The laugh is legit. Yes. Yeah. I try to be the same. I mean, at the end of the day, what is the saying? It's hard enough to be yourself, let alone somebody else. You know, Stephanie got to meet Mama Wanda. That is true. More of you will get to meet Mama Wanda now. Yes. Oh, that it wouldn't be. There are times you guys have probably seen it on video where it can take me forever and a day to decide if I'm going to buy something. But then, like, if you get the two of us and y'all don't necessarily get like full on experience of that, but we will be there for 15 minutes, him and hawing over whether or not we're going to buy something. Thank you, Jenny. I am definitely looking forward to doing it again. Ah. I'm just trying to catch up. I'm sorry, I'm like slack jawed. Just Steele is saying, I remember when you first started, also when you made the vid, if you should even consider doing this as a full-time endeavor. You were so nervous, and all I could do, and many others, was to encourage you, and you did, Steele. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Yes. We will see Miss Ouch coming soon next week, girl. Next week. I know, aren't they? They're done so well. I just couldn't get over it. Um, oh wait, can I leave you guys here? I want to show you guys something. I want to show you something else that somebody made. I don't know that she's here right now or not, but it's Miss Diane Gladstone. Okay, wait, I have to share this with you. I'm going to be right back, okay? Hold on. Miss Diane Gladstone was just totally speaking my language. Technically, this is Richard's. I mean, I have it hanging on my bedside sign, but Miss Diane Gladstone made or makes, look at, she hand beads these stars. Can you believe that? There's a little bit of the stuffing coming out of this one. Hand beaded. Hand beaded. Look at that. Look at how tiny. She just sits there with her little tray. Her and her husband came to the last antique exchange, and it's like her hobby. Hand beaded by Miss Diane Gladstone. Is that not crazy or what? um, Phil Imp. So let me see. I don't think that I have. I don't have. I would have showed you. Um, 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 okay. So still reigning supreme to this day. It was before the Cult of Vintage was officially started, but I had went to a local thrift store and I stopped there right before work and I went in and there were like they were probably like however many inches this is. What is this, like 14 inches? But they were these clear plastic bags and they were filled with My Little Ponies. But they weren't filled with just any My Little Ponies. They were filled with like the Hasbro 1980s, the Generation One My Little Ponies, and there were three of them. And each of the bags was $10. There had to be like 20 ponies at least in each one. And I was like, well, that's a really good deal, right? So I buy them, just pony after pony after pony after pony. And I remember, on Instagram, I was much more active at that time in the vintage toy community. And of course, I didn't know all of the ponies, I knew some of the ponies. And so I reached out to a specific individual who really helped me go through each and every single one of them. um, I had like they were one pony I remember selling for $375, and it was a baby pony. So she was just yay big. She was yellow. She had pink curly hair, and it was, I want to say it was like pink balloons and there was like a present on her. But what made her so valuable was that she was a mail away for birthdays. I forget her name, but just that one pony. I ended up selling the three bags, $30 in for over $3,000 after everything was said and done. Most recently, oh my gosh, I forget. I did not get this on video, but it was something that I sold on eBay. I remember buying it and bringing it, and Richard was like, "Are you okay?" It was this giant egg, and I'm kidding. I kid you not. It had to be 14 inches. It was about 7, 8 inches tall. But on the top of it were these pastel baby owls. And I saw it and I was like, there's something special about this. Do you know, like it was just like that. There's something about this. It was signed, and I was just like, there's something special about this. But it kind of had like a mid-century look to it, but the color palette, like it kind of gave like an 80s feel to it. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring this back. We'll see. It sat here in the bedroom for a hot minute. And I remember it was again when I was going back and forth, and I really had just kind of started to dabble in email. And I was like, I need to look this egg up, right? Suffice it to say, I looked it up and I did have to spend, I know, and it was crazy because I know he definitely thought I was crazy when I told him. But he was like, how much was that? And I said, it was $125. And he was like, okay. And I was like, I just have a feeling. And I remember transporting it back to Pennsylvania because I wanted to take photos of it. And so I looked it up. I'm researching the artisan. He is a Mexican folk artisan, limited stuff. This was the only one of the egg with the miniature owls on it. So I ended up selling the egg for, it was $1,250. I had that up for maybe 3 days and somebody just snatched it right up. There was no offer. they were like, just buy it. And I know it went to Texas, but I don't know, I can't remember where. Yeah. That was pretty amazing. So yeah, Imp, it was the dolls. Definitely, it's been the dolls. Um, yes, the downstairs was absolutely amazing. Hmm. The boxes, it was the boxes and the boxes and the boxes. It was a little overwhelming, truth be told, because I mean, we- there were a lot of boxes of dollhouse furniture stuff, and it was just, uh, um, I we honestly, by the time, and I know that you guys are probably so far ahead of me, we ultimately ended up selling, I would say, 85% of everything that was purchased. We sold 85% of it. Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there is, and I will say this though too, as I have been going out to antique malls and things of that nature, I have been looking for more vintage and retro toys. I love them. There is, again, it's, when I think part of the draw for most of us with regards to like vintage and antiques is, of course, like it's it's the nostalgia of it. You know what I mean? It's the callback, it's the reminder of, especially being young, or the item reminding us maybe of a parent, of a grandparent, of a friend. It was that thing that they had, and then there it is, it shows up. And clearly that thing is just, it's just a material thing, but it's the memories that are associated with it. It's that feeling that it evokes when we look at it. And I think, and that is certainly something that I think makes vintage and antiques far superior to contemporary things, is that it really, it can remind us of really good memories. um and I think, and something for me is like toys, I think are very impactful in that regard, because for me, they remind you of a time when you viewed life as a child. Of course, not for everybody. I was very fortunate, but you got to view life through that endless sense of hope and imagination and play. I think that those are just such amazing memories. So, when I think about He-Man, it's not just He-Man. It's about that sense of imagination and optimism, that you have as a child. So I have been finding myself kind of looking for those things. Um, I have dabbled in it a little bit more. I don't know. Again, it's something that I really personally enjoy, but what I have learned is that I want to kind of keep that on a back burner. I don't want to try to make it a focus, because I don't really want to taint that with it being too much of a professional focus. So, yeah. I'm happy to talk about it, and you'll see glimpses, of course, of it through in the videos and things like that, but I just don't want to make it a big focus on the channel. Yeah. I'm just scrolling through. Okay, so I'm at the star. I'm catching up to you guys tonight, dang it. My goal is to catch up to this chat before. We've got Petite Pony. Is that the name? Steel, is it Petite Pony? Mm-hmm. No. I'm telling you, them toys. I'm going to catch up to this shit. Um, you guys are getting sassy with each other. That's okay. oh my gosh, I caught up to the chat. So you guys are just getting all kinds of crazies with each other in the chat. I don't think that I have missed. I mean, I know that I have missed some questions or anything like that, but I definitely um, have caught up. I don't know that I should get totally caught up into these conversations you guys are having. Seems a little interesting. Mhm. Well, good night, Diane. Thank you for being here. Karen is saying it's getting harder to pinpoint what people are searching for compared to the past. And I think that this is something that you do take into consideration is that, as a collector, and I think many of you can probably identify with this, you become very enthusiastic about something, and maybe there's different colors and patterns and variations. Um, maybe it's a certain style, maybe it's a certain manufacturer, and you focus on it. And, as you get to a certain age of, shopping and sourcing, whether it's through live sales, whether it's through, thrift stores or going to antique malls, flea markets, yard sales, you start to acquire that collection. And as time wears on, not only do you acquire that collection, but then the one thing that begins to limit itself is space. And I think that for a lot of folks, and I do believe this, that a lot of folks have found themselves now in a position of, I'm going to say, let me just say, let's say it's like antique half dolls. It gets to a point where you're like, okay, I've got my favorites, and everything else is just kind of the fluff, is the filler. Swung vases, I know that there is still, it has become a much more niche market than what it was, last year. Is there still love for swung glass faces? Well, of course there is. Do I think that it's ever going to go away? No, I don't. But what I do note is that, gone are the days of the novelty. And I think that that's really what it boils down to, is that, something new kind of gets brought into the general consciousness of like the collecting community. We'll use a swung vase for it, and people are like, whoa, that's cool. Didn't really think of that as part of my collection, and then all of a sudden it's popular, right? Everybody kind of gets turned on to it, right? Like, oh, I could use one of those. But then it's one of those things where, okay, now I've got three, now I've got four, I don't know that I need a fifth. What I do think will still continue to be popular are the ones that are in very limited colors, very rare colors, hard to get patterns. There's always going to be that market for it. But what I was going to say, gone are the days where a basic amber swung vase is going to sell at a premium. And I think that it's interesting from what I've observed is that, selling online, you're ahead of the curve, but then I think, also begin to see the tapering off before what maybe people in, like, say, an antique mall, or folks at, I will use, next week is billed as a flea market. It's not really, it's unlike any flea market I've ever known. But I think that sometimes, like, the brick and mortar of it all has a harder time kind of keeping up with the trend. But I think doing online, you're kind of aware of where the trend is at the get. And you also, I think, begin to sense when it's really tapering off quickly. Yes. Agreed, Bobby. History repeats itself. Um, I really, what's really interesting, and call me crazy, but is anybody else noticing a tremendous amount of like a piney evergreen this year? Is it just me, or am I like noticing like the green, gold, and like the walnut, that color combination? I'm really starting to see that become very prevalent. I've noted that. And that reads to me very Art Deco. The color scheme is reading very Art Deco to me. I don't know, that could just be me, but I am seeing it crop up more and more. Um, William says, I will never stop buying Japanese kondals. Our yes, I have been quite the enabler in that fetish, and I'm glad that I can help you with that one, William. Appreciate that. Fashion, that definitely always wants to come back. Earth tones, yes, I think earth tones. We, um, I was out at TJ Maxx and I like to, I think textiles are a huge way in which to kind of change a look without having to change everything. And I found a rust colored throw, and it's like it's a rust, an orange rust kind of color, but it's like a plaid with navy, and I absolutely have fallen in love with that color combination. And then I got some, there's we have a navy throw on the bed, and then with that accented, and then I got navy pillow shams and or pillowcases, and then I got like a rust colored like accent pillow. I am loving this color combination right now. And then Richard just got a magazine the other day in the mail. Oh, like this. I am loving this color combination. I love this. This is reading a little black to me on screen. It is a navy. I mean, clearly you have the white in there, but I'm dying for this color combination. What was that magazine you got? Was it Lighting? It was the Lighting magazine. And on the cover, they had like tans, the rust orange, the navies. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, look at you. You're such these. Oh, they don't have the rust in it. It was the tan. Well, you guys will soon see. This wall color is gonna, but I love this. I like the furniture. It's a little mid-century to me, but I will say this, the chairs, see, this is what I'm talking about. The color combination gives me more of an Art Deco read, but then in the grand scheme of things, especially with this buffet back here, we're going a little too mid-century for me, not a fan. And on the back, again, you see that what is called Shades of Light, Modern Fusion in 2024. So you guys are gonna look at that. Isn't that lovely? You're gonna see this wall color again. Hint, hint. So yeah, anyhow, I don't even know what we were talking about. How did I get on the colors? I don't know. Oh, everything coming back around. So yeah, I, I, I don't know. It's just a really unusual. It's a happy medium. He likes the navy, but I like the earth tones. So boom. Thank you, Gene. I appreciate it. It's giving a little Ralph Lauren. It is giving a little. This isn't. I do know it's a hill figure. I replaced this one. Like I said, I'm a weird textile person, and I had a green, navy, and red. It's hill figure, but it is very. I mean, back in the late '80s, kind of like through mid '90s. Yeah, that one looked very Ralph Lauren. I was like, no, we need something for fall, so I got that. TJ Maxx. It was like $17. Rachel Roy, I don't know. This is incredibly soft. It is incredibly soft. Run, don't walk, okay? It's the 90s swinging back around. I can't. The Pine Factory, the color hunter green, and those celestial cobalt glass. Oh, okay. So the celestial cobalt glasses. Oh my word. Never my favorite. I think probably the worst, and I still cringe on it, is like that late 80s, early 90s when it was like mauve, green, and that super cheap, shiny brass. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? And then it was like green marble with the white veining. Please don't ever let that come back. Somebody's out there. That's exactly how my house is decorated right now, and I love it. More power to you, right? And with the dogs, it's definitely actually we are not going to have any leather. Everything will be upholstered. That'll be interesting. But he picked out fabric prior to the dog, so they oh, it just even then I didn't like it. Oof, I can't with it. I can't with it. Yes. I Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Like those light fixtures, like no, please never again. And it was so cheap because like now most of it is like pitted, like all funky looking. Mm-mm, no, thank you. So any old how. But yes, I know we are getting close o'clock. We're getting close to the 9 o'clock hour. So don't forget that, of course, at 9 p.m. Eastern, I am starting to lose my voice, truth be told, but at 9 p.m. Eastern, Fatbird Finds is going to be coming on for flipping and sipping. Please make sure to check out the ladies. I know many of you already do. It's a great time. It definitely some laughs. You don't have to drink if you don't want to, but you can. It's a nice show. Per Mary Beth, she says it's a nice show. I mean, so I do want to thank you guys again, kind of strolling back through memory lane today. I want to thank you guys for sharing your favorite memories. I certainly appreciate that. It's definitely been an interesting journey. And I am glad that I have had so many good people to be able to share it with. And again, as I said last week, and the week before, I do sincerely feel incredibly blessed. And it's all thanks to you guys. I know just love it. Um, yeah, we've got the Springfield extravaganza next weekend, so I'm not going to be having a live chat next week. We got a full house, so there's going to be a lot going on. Um, we'll be there Thursday and Friday for sure. I might do all 4 days again. I don't know. It is supposed to be in the 90s, and if you've ever been to the Springfield extravaganza, it is not the best feeling to be out on that asphalt. Come about 1, 2 o'clock, I will start melting, truth be told. So we'll see. We'll see. Um, I'm so excited about it. And then sad but true, but then the last outdoor flea market at Springfield will be October, and then they just do the interior buildings, and then it won't be until March. It won't be till April until they go outside again. Yes. So we got to make the most of it. We got to make the most of it. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to end it here. Yes, I am. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Certainly appreciate it. Again, no live chat next week. We got a lot of stuff going on. Don't forget, coming up in 15 minutes, plenty of time to get your drink and to run to the bathroom, maybe get a snack or two for flipping and sipping. Fat birds will certainly appreciate it. And we didn't have any bots. That's quite amazing. Um, Thank you to each and every single one of you for making this possible. I certainly do appreciate it. Um, Misty and I, of course, will be back next Tuesday um, on Thrifter Junker Vintage Hunter for the weekly Tuesday sale back at 1 p.m. Eastern. We certainly hope to see you guys there. I definitely have, it's an eclectic grouping again this week. So I'm quite excited about that. So yeah, you'll have to come and check it out. We'll have kids books, we'll have glass, we'll have some jadeite. Thank you, Connie. We'll have some jadeite, maybe some textiles. You're just gonna have to tune in and find out. So I hope that you all have a great evening, a wonderful weekend. Hopefully we will get we will also um, oh, hopefully we'll get to see you this Tuesday. So you guys have fun, be safe out there, and we will see you all soon. Good night, everyone.